COVID-19's presence in Ontario's northern regions poses specific risks as there are fewer healthcare options and resources for a widely dispersed population. Nick Dunne is our Northeastern Ontario Hubmeister, and he joins us now via Skype from Sudbury for how that region is coping. Nick, good to have you on. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Steve.
Give us the COVID-19 update for Northern Ontario, please.
Right. So as of now, we have 2 cases in Sudbury. The first one, a man in his 50s. He is thought to have contracted it at the PDAC conference. This was an international mining conference in Toronto. He came back. And we also have a second woman in her 60s in Sudbury. She has thought to have contacted it by being in close contact with the first patient. We've also seen 1 confirmed case in Algoma district. A woman in her 50s, I believe, and in Timmins, just last night, we've learned that we have 1 person who is confirmed to have COVID-19.
Okay, so 4 cases to date so far. What are some of the containment measures that are being talked about and done in Northern Ontario as a result?
Well, for example, to start with the city buildings, all municipal buildings have closed. All city halls in these 4 cities have closed. Timmins just closed today. We are also looking at in the hospital limited visitors. They've restricted things severely there. And we are also having assessment centers in all of these cities. Transit as well. Transit is still going, but we have rear entries only, and they've waived the transit fares as well for that.
That is something I bet a lot of people in Toronto would love to see happen, but that hasn't happened here yet. Listen, I want to take advantage of having you here by asking you about some much more remote parts of the province, which don't get a lot of attention, so we want to do that now. Let's talk about Moose Cree. Where is that, first of all?
Yeah, so that's way far up in the northeast in the James Bay. It is a town, well, there are 2 towns. There's Moosonee and Moose Factory, which is an island. And all of this area takes up Moose Cree and also the community of Mo-Cree-Bec. It's about 1,400 people. And yeah, they are very concerned about the situation in Timmins right now.
What remote, given that they are such remote communities, are there specific or particularly different challenges that they have there from, say, those who live in the big cities?
That's a good question, Steve. So on one hand, people will think that because they are remote and far away, that this isn't necessarily a problem. But these communities are highly reliant on hub cities like Timmins. In the Northwest, the remote communities are reliant on Sioux Lookout in Thunder Bay. And now that we have a presence of COVID-19 in Timmins, things are definitely going to be ramping up. I just got off the phone with Grand Chief Jonathan Solomon of Mushkegowuk Council, which looks at all the communities in the James Bay and Hudson Bay. And he's saying that it's unacceptable that these communities are still deemed low risk by the federal government.
So what's the alternative for them right now?
Well, they are doing what they can to prevent the spread of the virus in these communities. That is the most they can do in their situation. They have limited resources, manpower. It's been hard getting a hold of them on the phone just because resources are spread so thin. They are telling people to self-monitor, and if anyone has been in traveling internationally, if they've been in a city in Canada that has had the presence of COVID-19, they're told to self-isolate. But the main concern here is that a lot of these communities have problems with overcrowding. There's been neglect on housing from the provincial and federal governments for so long that, you know, a town like Attawapiskat has 300 odd homes for 2,100 odd people, according to a Toronto Star article from 2016. So how are you supposed to self-isolate when you have an average of 7 people living in one dwelling?
Now, I did note that the Prime Minister made an announcement the other day with a specific measure in that announcement to deal with Indigenous Affairs and Indigenous communities. Do you know how either well or not that was received there?
Yeah, so it's been received fairly well. It's announced that there is $305 million going to First Nations, but that is federally, so that's across the 600 odd First Nations in our country. There are still questions about how exactly this is going to apply to First Nations. They're hoping that the process for applying is expedited, just given how rapidly moving the situation is. And they're also wondering what exactly this is going to be earmarked for, all this money. It's also worth noting that the Ontario provincial government has provided $4 million specifically to food and supplies for these First Nations in the province. But again, that's 130 odd First Nations in this province, Steve.
Now, Nick, I want you to help us get inside the decision-making processes that these First Nations have to go through right now because, you know, big cities have their kinds of big decisions to make and First Nations have their big decisions to make. And with the spring coming, you know, very soon and presumably flooding going to be happening in some areas, these areas have got to decide, I guess, whether they want to stay and risk the flooding or leave and get away from the flooding, but maybe closer to the COVID-19. I don't know. You tell us how are they thinking about all this right now?
Well, Steve, they're going to be having a conference call to discuss these matters. But yeah, as our former colleague Claude Sharma reported last year, communities like Saskatchewan have in the past dealt with flooding in the spring, which means they have to evacuate their whole community to places like Timmins, which right now has first case of COVID-19. So this is an incredibly difficult decision to make. Do we evacuate our communities and risk COVID-19 spreading among people who are already at risk, at a higher risk of being, immunocompromised, people who already have higher risks of chronic illness? This is a very serious problem. But on the other hand, do we allow our communities to stay in areas that are going to be flooded? It's hard to say what the flooding is going to look like this year, but Grand Chief Solomon called this a double whammy, and it's hard not to disagree with him.
Very difficult situation. Nick, I got 30 seconds left, and maybe we can just take that time to talk about international students who may be stuck at various post-secondary institutions in Northern Ontario and what they're thinking about right now.
Yeah, so I've looked at this province-wide, Steve. There are about 170,000, just under 170,000 international students in this province, according to the Ministry of Colleges and Universities. And there are over 700,000 in this country. Each individual right now is monitoring their unique situation, whether or not they risk international travel or if they self-isolate in a foreign country. This is an ongoing situation, but many universities are already offering residence space for these international students. I know Laurentian University, for one, has offered this, but again, everything is moving so quickly, Steve, that we're still looking at how each university is responding to this.
Yeah, I know at Laurentian, for example, where I have the honor of being the chancellor, they've started up a kind of a GoFundMe situation there to help raise some money to help these kids with the transition over time, because, of course, they're going to be even lonelier than most, given that they're in a foreign country. Nick, really good to talk to you. Appreciate having you on TVO tonight. And keep your eyes open up there and be safe in our Northeastern Ontario Hub, okay?
Thank you very much, Steve. Be safe, too.
And just a reminder that all of our Ontario Hub's journalists are going to be on the lookout for COVID-19 stories, whether they're in Thunder Bay or London or Kingston or in Ottawa, where our Ontario Hubs are located. So remember, go to tvo.org anytime you like for COVID-19 updates from across the province.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario. CPA Ontario is a regulator, an educator, a thought leader, and an advocate. We protect the public. We advance our profession. We guide our CPAs. We are CPA Ontario. And by viewers like you. Thank you.